welcome or welcome back to the Starr Personal Finance channel. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If this is your first time joining me, please consider being a subscriber to the channel. Make sure you guys like this video and leave me a comment in today's discussion. I do appreciate all the love. Let's get into today's content. So guys, I got a client to talk to me the other day, and they was like, Starr, my Credit Karma tells me that my credit score is a 720, but I went to go apply for a loan and they told me that my credit score was a 668. And she was completely devastated by that credit score because she really thought that her credit score was a 720. And so I really had to explain to her what the Credit Karma score is versus the score that probably that lender used. So let's talk about that today. A lot of times when you're looking at the Credit Karma score, you're looking at the Vantage score. So that is a scoring model, and I'm gonna pull it up on the screen, but that is a scoring model that was created by the 3 credit bureaus themselves. So let's pull that up on the screen real quick. So what is a Vantage credit score? So the quick answer, and this is from Experian.com. So the quick answer is the Vantage score develops credit scoring models that companies can use to evaluate your credit worthiness. The latest score versions are Vantage 4.0, 4 Plus, and 5.0. They work differently, but all range from 300 to 850. So the Vantage score, again, they are the 3 credit bureau agencies, Experian, TransUnion, Equifax. They created this Vantage score as an independently managed joint venture in 2006. Since then, the company has released 6 credit scoring models. So the most commonly used models are the Vantage 3.0 and the Vantage Score 4.0 scores. So when you're looking at your Credit Karma, you are more than likely you are seeing the Vantage 3.0. And a lot of the free apps that you get, that's a more common score that you will get even with your credit cards. That's a very more common score because, again, Vantage is still not as used as the FICO score. So we're going to talk about the FICO score next. So the Vantage score, even though it has been around for 20 years now, came out in 2006 and now it's 2026. So it's been around for 20 years, but still has not been widely adapted and as accepted as the FICO score. And there's a reason for that, not just because it's kind of new on the scene, but also because these things cost. They cost. So that's why it's not as widely used as the FICO score. So a lot of people think that the FICO score has a whole monopoly on the scoring system, and a lot of people don't like that, but that's not really true because they have been around. A Vantage score has been around since 2006, and what it really boils down to is cost. Okay, when you're in a business, and think of banks, think of credit unions, think of your finance companies and all those type of things, car dealerships, all of these places are actually businesses, right? And they want to keep their costs as low as possible. So when you're talking about buying a whole scoring model, think about the cost that it will cost you to change that scoring model. So think about it. So just for a simple comparison, say you've been an iPhone user for ever since iPhone became a thing, right? And then you decide to go to an Android. Well, if you have all your information synced with your iPhone and you got all these different things synced with your iPhone, you may have a time changing everything over to Android because of all the synchronicity that it's had with the iPhone, with the Apple products, right? And so it's kind of the same thing. A lot of times it's going to cost you to move over, but it's also going to cost you a lot of time to redo all of your rules, your lending rules, and all those type of things because you have built your lending and your risk factor around that particular scoring model. So if you change it, you have to change all of that information. You have to change all of those rules, regulations, and da 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 da. And again, when these banks and stuff are buying the FICO score, you're thinking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. Think about when you get a new phone and you're getting a more upgraded version of that phone. You got to pay for that upgraded version of the phone. I'm not talking about an update. I'm talking about an upgrade when you're moving up. And so a lot of times when you have businesses that have been using the same scoring model, the same type of risk factor assessment model, they are thinking about the cost. And again, what we always say, if it's not broke, don't try to fix it type of deal. So that's why Vantage is still new on the scene, even though it's 20 years in the making. So let's pull that up let's pull up the FICO score. And this information is from myfico.com. And so when you go over here and it says, what is a FICO score? A FICO score is a 3-digit number based on the information in your credit reports. It helps lenders determine how likely you are to repay a loan. This in turn affects how much you can borrow, how many months you have to repay, and how much it will cost, meaning the interest rate. When you apply for credit, lenders need a fast and consistent way to decide whether or not to loan money. In most cases, they'll look at your FICO scores. And see what it says, scores with an S, because there are several different FICO scores. Even my FICO wants you to know the difference, right? So FICO scores versus credit scores. So we look at that. It even tells you, say, what's the difference between the FICO scores and non-FICO scores? So not all credit scores are FICO scores. For over 25 years, FICO scores have been the industry standard for determining a person's credit risk. Many lenders use FICO scores to make faster, fairer, and more accurate lending decisions. Other credit scores can be very different from FICO scores, sometimes by as much as 100 points. Okay, because these models are scoring very differently. They're scoring very differently. And so because FICO has been around for a very long time, more industries have adapted their model for their lending. So that's why you can get confused very easily. You can get very confused because there are so many different types of FICO scores as well. Now, with your Vantage score, you got either Vantage 3.0, Vantage 4.0, Vantage 4 Plus, what it says, and Vantage 5.0. But within the FICO score itself, there are several different FICO scores. So you don't have just one for one model. There's several different FICO scores. So let's take a look at that as well. So we go down here, you got the FICO score versions. And so even on its website, it tells you FICO score versions. Did you know you have more than one FICO score? Since the FICO scores were introduced to lenders over 35 years ago, they have become the best known, most widely used credit score. But quite a bit has changed since lenders first started using FICO scores in 1989. Lender credit granting requirements, data reporting practices, consumer demand for credit, and consumer use of credit have all evolved. To help lenders make more informed credit granting decisions and to help ensure you get access to credit you need, the FICO score model has been updated periodically over the years. As an example, we use credit much more frequently than we used to. FICO scores has been updated to account for the change in behavior. If we didn't, seemingly normal credit usage today would be considered a higher risk than in years past. The result is that there are multiple FICO score versions available, in addition to the most widely used version, the FICO 8. So the FICO 8 is the most used version, and my FICO tells you that, but there are so many different ones. So just under Experian, it's got right here widely used versions: FICO 9, FICO 8, and then versions used in auto lending. You got the FICO Auto Score 9, you got the FICO Auto Score 8, you got the FICO Auto Score 2. So versions used in credit card decisioning, you got the FICO Bank Card Score 9, you got the FICO Bank Card Score 8, you got the FICO Score 3, you got the FICO Bank Card Score 2. And then versions used in mortgage lending, you got the FICO 2 for Experian, you got the FICO 5 for Equifax, and you got the FICO 4 for TransUnion. And okay, so newly released version is the Score 10, the FICO Auto Score 10, the Bank Card Score 10, and the FICO Score 10T. And so there, and if you go down Equifax, you'll see the same thing, and also for TransUnion. So there's so many different scores. And even within those scores can break down even more. So it can get really confusing because you really and truly still do not know which score they're actually using, because they could be using, like, say you're applying for a credit card. Well, you don't know if they're using the 9 or the 8 or the 3 or the 2. You don't know. So you really can't like nail it completely down to what score they're going to use. So the best practice for you to really, get as close as possible is making sure that you're doing all the things that's going to make you have the highest credit score that you can possibly have. That means paying all your payments on time, making sure that you're not applying for credit very often because you really want a good length of history. You want to make sure that you're keeping your credit utilization on your credit report looking good, especially if you're planning on applying for any new credit. If you're applying for any new credit within like 6 months to a year, you definitely want to make sure that you're keeping the credit utilization looking really top tier on your credit report. That way you're going to get the highest score that you can for that particular category. And you want to make sure that you're keeping your inquiries low. That means 2 is going to go along with new accounts, and also making sure that you're having a mixture of credit, because they want to know, can you handle all types of credit? So if you are new to credit, I just did a video talking about building or rebuilding credit. The best way to start credit is to do a secure option. That means to use your own money to secure an actual credit score. So that means, getting a secure loan or getting a secure credit card, preferably with a credit union, to help you build that relationship with the bank and also help you build a healthy credit score. So some of the ways that I like to monitor my credit, I have paid for credit monitoring in the past, but a lot of the things now you can get completely for free. So let's look at those. Okay, so this is from the My FICO app. So you have 3 different tiers here. You have the free tier, the advanced tier, and the premier tier. Now, I have used the premier tier before. Usually when I use the premier tier, that's when I was looking at my mortgage scores, because it will break down all those different scores for you, 2, 4, and 5. It also will break down the credit card scores, the auto scores, those types. So it gives you more than just the one FICO 8 score. It will give you a ton of the different scores that I had mentioned in the one that I just showed you. It broke down all those different ones. It does give you a lot more scores that you can look at under the Premier, but I currently use the free one. And reason being is because I can get my other FICO scores from different places. And I'm going to show you all those different places. So I get my Equifax for free over here on my FICO. It will give me the FICO 8 score. It will monitor my credit and gives me a free credit report for Equifax every month. So this is a good option just to get your FICO 8 Equifax score. Now, if you want to get your Experian, then you can go over here to the Experian app. You can go over here to the Experian app and you can sign up for their free version to get your free credit report and your free FICO score for Experian. And they will give you your FICO 8 score for free. Now, of course, Mike FICO and Experian, they're gonna want you to upgrade every time. Almost every time that you go on the app, when you get the free version, it may pop something up, telling you what are your risks and all that kind of stuff. But it's really not necessary. Now, another way that you can get a free credit score for TransUnion is if you are a Capital One member. So let's look at that. One of the good things about the Discover and the Capital One merger is that Discover was already giving out the FICO 8 for TransUnion, and because Capital One has acquired Discover, they have merged together. They also now provide you with the FICO 8 score. Before, they only would give you the Vantage score. So now, if you are a Capital One credit card holder, you can now see your TransUnion FICO 8 score through their, I think it's called CreditWise. Yep, CreditWise. So now you can see your FICO 8 score. It used to be the Vantage, but now you can see your actual FICO 8 score. And that's a really good thing, especially if you are a Capital One credit card holder. So that's 3 ways that you could get the 3 FICO 8 scores for free. by going to the My FICO app and getting the Equifax one for free, going to the Experian app and getting the Experian FICO 8 for free. And if you are a Capital One card holder, you will get TransUnion FICO 8 through the CreditWise part of the actual Capital One app. And I think that is really, really good. So that is a good way to be able to get those scores for free. Now, again, you can pay all these different platforms to do it, but I would say do your research. If I was going to pay for any of them, I would definitely pay for the MyFICO. I would pay for the MyFICO app just because they do give you up to like $1 million in identity theft insurance, and you can get so many different scores. You can also use the if you get the Premier, you can use the simulator. And basically what the simulator is it okay, say if you put in the simulator that you're going to take out a new credit card. Well, it'll tell you how that's going to affect your score based on that event. Or say you could put in there that you missed a payment, and it'll tell you how it would affect your credit score. So I like the simulator for that type of thing. I have used the simulator to see, okay, how many points would I drop if I got this new credit card? And sometimes it may say 10 and it may say 20. So I'm like, oh, okay. Is this a way that you can actually, know what it looks like before you actually do it? Now, I don't know if Experian still does it, but Experian did have the simulator one time as well. But I can't remember. I used to pay for Experian to get all three of my credit reports. Credit scores and credit reports before. But again, I just use all the three free ones now, just to save some money, because they can get hefty. Look at the Premier, it's like $40 a month. I think Experian is getting kind of close to $30 a month. And then, you have the Equifax one that you could pay for. TransUnion, if you actually do the TransUnion one, they're still giving just a Vantage score. So that's kind of not what you want. Because you could get the Vantage score for almost everywhere. If you're a Navy Federal member, you'll get the Vantage score in their app. And of course, if you download the Credit Karma app, you're going to get the Vantage score. And again, guys, I'm not against Credit Karma. I'm really not. They are really good for monitoring your credit. They're really good for letting you know when things happen on your credit. They are really good tool for doing that. Now, you just can't rely on the scores, and that's because a lot of businesses have not adapted it. And just like we said I said earlier in the video, it's because it costs to move all that stuff over and to change all that stuff. Even though Vantage has been around for 20 years, Vantage is really going to have to give some really hefty incentives for these banks and credit unions that has been using FICO since 1989 to change. They're really going to have to. They're going to have to do some more stuff to make them move over to Vantage. Now, I know it was, I think it was in 2020 or maybe 2021, where Freddie Mac and Sallie Mae were announcing that they were going to start using Vantage 4.0 and also FICO 10. I think either FICO 10 or FICO 10T. So some people have started to adapt some of the different scoring models, but again, it's still not widely used. And again, you're going to still just find maybe a handful of lenders that are actually using those models. But if you know of any lenders that are using the Vantage score models, drop it in the comments. I really would like to know if you have experienced any lenders that have actually used that particular model. That is very, very interesting. I know I did see at some point that some credit unions were using the Vantage score model, but I can't tell you any of the names. So if you know of any, please drop it in the comments below. Again, guys, if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. I want to start doing some videos tailored to the comments and to my videos. So let me know. And I really do appreciate you joining me today. Again, like the video. If you can hype the video, give it a hype. I really do appreciate it. I'm going to see you in the next one.